Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Man Bites Film. My name is Lewis.
I'm William Phoenix.
And like always, we review two movies that are on the streaming networks, and we try to find we try to do non-spoiler, revealing pretty much, and we do a comparison of other films that you could enjoy that are mainstream and why you might enjoy this film. So straight off the bat, William, what did you bring us today?
Today I brought us a 1995 cult classic. I guess it's a cult classic by now. For the time, for what it was great. It still is. I still thoroughly enjoy it. Hackers.
Oh, nice.
Good movie. Entertaining, action-packed to be a computer-based movie. For those that don't know or have never heard of it, basically this young kid gets caught hacking, basically, and can't use computers again until he turns 18. Then, of course, once he turns 18, he goes right back into it and gets pulled into this world of hackers where he meets the likes of Matthew Lillard, Angelina Jolie. Mark Anthony plays a part in it, but he's like one of the FBI agents. They start playing pranks on a whole bunch of people, and then they get caught into this web of lies, or this web by this other hacker called the Plague that tries to frame them for what he's doing, which is basically siphoning money using a worm, which takes out pennies from different bank accounts to making him a millionaire.
Office Space, basically.
Office Space, pretty much. Now, the one thing that I was really surprised that I didn't put one and one together is that Johnny Lee Miller plays the main part, and their hacking name becomes Crash. Angelina Jolie's Burn, and together, obviously, they made Crash and Burn, which is one of the jokes in the movie. But Johnny Lee Miller is one of those actors that I didn't know he was in things that I watch. And I watch Elementary. Come to find out, it's basically Sherlock Holmes in modern day New York.
Okay.
It's with Lucy Liu. I don't think it's still on anymore, but he had a good run, 4 or 5 seasons. But he plays Sherlock Holmes. And he looks so different than he did in Hackers. He has become a man to the point where you don't even recognize. I didn't even recognize him until I looked it up on IMDb. I'm not even going to lie. It's just, I was pleasantly surprised. Angelina Jolie, you can spot from a mile away whether she was 18 or whether she's now. She's always kind of looked like Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, but this is before all the pre-surgery and all the craziness that she's done to herself. This is her at her hottest. She was freaking gorgeous. I remember watching this when it first came out, and I was like, wow. I mean, mind you, I was, 12, 13 when
I was 15. So, yeah.
So, this was...
Unpopular opinion, I've never found her attractive. I've never had a thing for Angelina. It's just never been my thing.
I liked her back in the day. Now, she's just... It's not... No.
But, I mean... Hackers was good. Hackers is good.
Hackers was...
It is cheesy. It is obviously not what hacking is or what it looks like. Or, you get lost in this world of, you see all these things and whatnot. But the visual effects of what they were okay.
Dude, you're talking about 95. This was... People barely had computers back then.
I also don't think that they thought it was going to do as good as it did or get the following that it did.
Yeah.
But it was kind of people back then, every generation has their cliques. And when something comes up where your clique is represented, it's great. And usually, it's what are the cliques that are represented? That you have the nerds, you have the cheerleaders, you have the football players. This was the computer geeks. This was the hackers. This was their time to shine. And so, it got that following where, obviously a lot of people were like, this is not what hacking is, and blah, blah, blah. And it was also before social media, so it didn't, now I think it would just probably tank.
Oh, yeah.
Because people...
But also, it's a different generation of
different
stuff.
generation.
So,
but it was good. It was...
I really enjoyed it.
I'd seen it before. I was happy to see it. It's on Hulu, actually, not Netflix. I know, big surprise. It's on Hulu. Everything else I think I've done is pretty much on Netflix. But
Yeah.
Matthew Lillard is in it, being the Matthew Lillard that we know. This was obviously pre Scooby Doo, but
pre SLC Punk even.
Yep. I mean, pre 13 Ghosts.
This was one of his first, and I personally loved SLC Punk. The reason I actually watched Hackers was because of SLC Punk. And I was like, oh my god, I had to backtrack on him because I loved him so much in that movie. One of my favorite scenes is that scene where he's talking to his parents and he's like, for the first time, I'm 18 and I can say, fuck you. Oh, so great. I love that with the giant mohawk and...
and we used up the one F word we're allowed to have. Yeah. But it was well worth it. So, Matthew Lillard looks like he's on acid the entire time, and it's great because it's Matthew Lillard at his best, which I believe he's coming to MegaCon this year, or he's coming to one of the cons this year. Yes. So, I would love to get my copy of Hacker signed and whatnot, but I enjoyed it, and I think a lot of people, if you don't go into it with a serious mind going, oh, I'm going to go see what hacking's all about, but know that it's going to be a good 90s representation by Hollywood of what, hacking and the world of hacking. It was good. The soundtrack was decent. The soundtrack was awesome, was obviously you're not going to find like country or classical music on a soundtrack like Hackers.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was really good, and I mean, there's a lot of plot holes and there's a lot of, but again, it's one of those 90s movies that they didn't think it was going to be, what it turned out to be. It was enjoyable. It got a cult following. Yeah. To this day, it's one of those, hey, we put it in, whether it's your background noise or you actually sit because you want to watch it again, you're still going to be, even if you know what's going to come. But it's great. Yeah. Check it out. Enjoy it. It's on Hulu. It's under movies. Obviously, and honestly, I'd give it for what it is. I'd get like 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd probably say an 8 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed it a lot, and is Angelina Jolie, just
he's not biased at all in this one at all.
Yeah.
But what'd you get to see?
I got to see a movie that's actually on Shudder, and I haven't done too much justice to Shudder recently, so I apologize about that, but I really will be fixing that. And this is a cult classic as well. It's called Zombi. And this is actually Lucio Falucci? Yeah, whatever. But he is basically
Lucio Fulci.
Okay.
He's Italian. I'm Italian. Why would you not ask me how to pronounce this?
Whatever.
Lucio Fulci. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Anyway, directed by Lucio Fulci.
Yes. And this was actually 1979 zombie film. And this was right after the release of Dawn of the Dead by George Romero. And it actually got confused with George Romero, a sequel to George Romero's film, because when Dawn of the Dead was actually released internationally, it was called Zombie, with the same spelling as this one. So it kind of like what everybody got confused, and the studio, I found out later on, actually did it on purpose, because they're like, let's do it, let's bank on this huge film that banked so much money for George Romero. Let's do it and pretend it's a sequel to it. Now, this is a huge cult classic when it comes to horror movies and everybody. This wonderful guy right here is actually a replica of one of the main characters straight from this movie. And not from this movie, because this was actually from The Walking Dead. And The Walking Dead did a straight up mock-up of 6 zombies that looked just like this, and they scattered it throughout the series in the first 3 seasons as a tribute to this particular film, because they enjoyed this film so much, the writers and directors, that they decided to make a straight up mock-up of one of the main characters. If you look at the title sequence, the poster, that's his face is right there, and this is actually a replica from the what do you call it, that movie, and this was actually properly used on one of the zombies in Walking Dead. I got it in auction, and it was like, yes, I love it. I love it. And when I found out the history behind it, I was like, oh my god. And then the fact that I'm doing a review on it, it just fit perfectly. And this film basically revolves these guys that they discover a boat in New York Harbor, and it is just floating along. And the harbor patrol is like, what the hell's going on? You know, this boat's just floating around. As soon as they get in, they see it's a zombie, and they're trying to cover it up. The mother of the person, the daughter of the person that owns the boat finds out about it and tries to investigate it. And a news reporter gets on board as well. And they get entangled and they get led to an island in the middle of the Atlantic. This is it's going to be very jarring for a lot of people because all the audio was actually recorded post, because the film was released in so many different languages that they recorded it in post. So the language doesn't sync up, the audio and video don't sync up perfectly. So anybody that has an issue with that, don't watch this movie because you're just going to be frustrated as hell. But
I can't do it. I was very much hooked on it, and I'm like, I'm actually going to check this out and whatnot. And then there's not a lot of things in movies that for me are like deal breakers. But unless it's a original Godzilla movie that you know they're not going to sync up, I can't, because I'm watching the movie and I'm watching the lips and
it's not that bad. It's really not that bad because it was originally intended to be in English, so it's not that bad in English. There are moments where you're like, hold on, his lips kept moving, but it's not like throughout the whole film. But it does have its moments that it really does jar you because you're like, hold on, it's like what? So
I may give it a chance if I can sit through it. Then okay, absolutely. But if not, there's been some movies which are great movies which I force myself to watch but
yeah,
I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, the audio's so off.
Yeah, no, I mean the film, it does that kind of weird thing with the doctor and all that stuff, and they're trying to do like a lab experiment and all that stuff, but in the end what I like about it is that the zombies aren't from that experiment. It's actually the reaction of a voodoo curse that's put on the doctor for doing these things.
Okay then.
So it's the original version of a zombie that they are like, it's a reaction of a voodoo curse, which that, if nobody knows, that's what zombies originally were made from. They're a legend of voodoo curses that were put on people, and they brought back the dead to avenge the person that they did injustice to. So that's what originally zombies were. It wasn't just a outbreak of viruses or anything like that intense. And I like the fact that this film kind of plays on that, and you kind of think that it is, and then it does that twist that you're like, hold on, it's like, whoa, what? It's a curse that they put on the lab that's trying to do all these crazy experiments. So it wasn't an outbreak because of the virus, but the curse that they put on the person that was trying to come up with the virus that was going to do something like this.
Once again, thanks, religion.
And I loved it. I thought it was really cool. Again, the acting is very dated. The acting is extremely dated. It feels like a TV movie. But it does have that cult classicness to it that you just like, wow, this is really good. So I definitely give it an 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Zombie, this one's streaming only on Shudder currently. Like I said before, Shudder they curate their titles and movies that they release to classic horror movies, classics that might be potentially classics in the future. I mean, and on top of that, they stick to certain directors and they give you all the filmography of that director, which is really cool. I like that.
Romero on there?
He's not on there because they haven't gotten the rights to it. Yeah, but they've tried. From what I've heard.
I mean, if you're going to do something like horror raised, you're going to try and go for the great ones, the established great ones. Because there's some great ones which people have never heard about.
Yeah.
But it is established great ones like
they Romero, got some good ones.
Craven,
Yeah.
But Stanley Kubrick.
Not really horror.
I know.
But
I was going with The Shining.
Yeah, but they're not gonna get the rights to that. That's too big.
Not.
So yeah, and your film was
Hackers.
And
1995 on Hulu.
Yep. So that's our episode for this week. My name is Lewis.
I'm William.
And this is another episode of Man Bites Film. Always check us out. We got our podcast that we do bi-weekly as well, both of us, and another mate of ours. And I don't know why
I'm just going to let that go. I'm going to let it go. He went mate.
Yeah, I don't know why I said
neither,
that.
He's neither Australian nor a pirate. But
I've been watching too much Doctor Who lately.
Apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. Too much British comedy, stuff like that. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, we do a weekly show on YouTube, of course, and a monthly show special that we do versus fandom versus fandom on Man versus Film. So please check us out and subscribe, comment, like, share us on Facebook, and everything else. You can check us out below with all our information. William's information as well, all his cosplay page and anything else that he's going to be adding onto it. Alright, so we'll see you guys next week for another episode.